this is a video that I never wanted to make. This is a video that no one wants to make. This is a video that I shouldn't have to make, because stuff like this shouldn't happen. Stuff like this shouldn't have... It should never have happened in the first place, and the fact that this did happen shows that, you know, something needs to change. And I've thought long and hard about actually making this video, because I thought I'm not educated enough to talk about this. I'm not educated enough to speak about this. I don't know enough about the subject. I don't understand this subject, because I can't understand. I can't understand how black Americans feel, because I'm white and British. So I already have a barrier of understanding that. But it is also obvious that we have to speak about this. I don't mean me. I don't mean basketball players. I don't mean celebrities. I don't mean people who have a huge following. I mean every person on the planet needs to talk about this. If you're not aware, I don't know who wouldn't be aware, but on last Monday, a black American was brutally murdered by a white police officer in what a lot of people are saying is a clear racist-fueled attack. A lot of evidence suggests, like, apparently, like, the police officer knew the guy, so there is a very real possibility that this wasn't a racist attack, but it has to be treated as a racist attack because it was a white British police officer brutally murdering a black man. And this stuff shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen in the year 2020. And obviously this has fueled riots, it's fueled protests, and that's what's going to happen. If you didn't want this to happen, you shouldn't have gone and killed a black man. You shouldn't have done that. I don't know how to talk about this because I feel like whatever I'm going to say, I'm going to get something wrong. But this is a horrible thing that has happened, and it shouldn't happen, and it sucks that this has happened. And just this year, everything that's happened this year, I don't want to use the phrase that this is the stick that broke the camel's back, but there was going to be something happening that was going to tip everyone over the edge, and this tipped everyone over the edge, and it just shows that this isn't a one-time thing. This isn't like, this has happened before, and if people don't start talking about it and don't start acting on their words, then it will happen again and again and again and again and again and again and again, because it's happened not once, not twice, hundreds, thousands of times before, because it's in our nature. Racism is in human nature. People are scared of difference. People are scared of difference, and they act on that fear with violence. again, there is equal there is equal arguments to say this wasn't racially fueled. But is that really what you want to say, but is that really what you think, or is that just what you want to think? Because as much as this one may have been a personal vendetta, all those others were racially fueled. Hundreds, thousands more were racially fueled. And this just happened to be what tipped everyone over the edge. Quite rightly so. But there's so many others that don't get the media recognition, don't get talked about, don't spark a fire like George Floyd did. And that may have been because he was such a known figure in the black community in America. That might have been the fact that he had friends that were famous that talked about him after he died. That might be just because this was filmed. There are so many others that aren't filmed, and I really my point isn't to put the blame on anyone, even though it's quite obvious who the blame is on. The blame is on the white police officer who murdered someone in cold blood. The blame is on the police force for keeping him on for so long. The blame lies in the government for not doing anything and turning against the people instead of against the police force, which has a deep-rooted problem with how they deal with race. There are so many things wrong with the American police force, wrong with the British police force, wrong with every police force, because that's just the roots of what the police stand for. There are as many police officers that join to protect and serve their country and their people. The amount of police officers that join because it gives them power, because it makes them feel big, because they were the bullies in school, and now they are the bullies with the guns, with the batons, with the pepper spray. And that's a big thing with the police. There is this big bully mentality, and unfortunately that's the side that the minorities see. That's the side that they get. And it fucking sucks, because that shouldn't be rooted in the place that's supposed to be protecting you. A lot of white people will phone the police if they feel scared. A lot of black people will feel scared just by the sight of the police, just by the sirens, because that siren signifies the boogeyman. That siren means that you may not make it through the night. And it fucking sucks. It fucking sucks that so many people have to be scared of something that's meant to protect you, that's meant to keep you safe, something that's meant to protect and serve. I have to say it one more time, that this should not happen. This should not happen after so long of people having to fight for their rights because of the colour of their skin. we live in a world which has so much technology, so much that has so much freedom for so many people, yet there's, I hate saying a minority because it doesn't look like it at the moment. I know it doesn't look like it because there's so many videos, so much going around of like police officers just brutalizing people at these protests and riots, and just so much like abhorrent stuff that's being shown, and it's disgusting. It's honestly, that is what sparked me to make this video more than anything. Just seeing all the backlash of it and the riots and the protests, and the thing is, the protests are peaceful. The riots, the quote that everyone's saying is Martin Luther King said that riots are the voice of the unheard, and these are people that have been unheard for so long, and it's down to people in power. It's down to people that, I think you know who I'm talking about, to listen to those voices. Because if you don't, they'll be knocking on your door. As much as this is such a good world to live in for so many people, this is such a terrifying world for so many others. And I know that stuff that I've gone through has nothing over what you go through, and I have no right to sit here in my bedroom and talk about this stuff. But people have to, because the world has to change, and if people won't listen to the actual victims, then they have to listen to people. Because if a white man sees another white man defending a black man, then they'll think twice before they attack a black man again. At least I hope that'll be the case. I like to think that'll be the case, because if it's not, then we're all screwed. Again, I hate making videos like this. All of my other videos are, I try to be funny. I try to make people laugh. I try to make people smile. But this is just something that I can't do that with. And the last few days, hearing about all of this shit that's going on in the world, on top of a global pandemic, on top of so much shit that we've just been handed. We've been handed the worst fucking cards in the history of anything this year, and it's honestly so depressing to see the world that we live in and what people are capable of. Because you may be watching that video, and I know people that I know are like, well, why doesn't the other police officer do something? Why doesn't the person recording it do something? The person recording it was likely black. If he intervened, he would have been killed as well. The police officer was Chinese. The police officer watching was Chinese. If he tried to intervene, what would have happened to him? I know he's got a gun, but so does the other guy. It's a shit situation to be in, because how do you how do you deal with that? How do you deal with a situation like that? You want to do the right thing, but you know if you do, you'll die. I want to finish off there because I am so pent up about this whole situation, and I just wanted to throw out my my words and hope that they mean something to someone, because I can't understand what's going on. I will never understand what's going on. But I fully understand that I will never understand. But I I couldn't just sit and say nothing, because I had too many thoughts about this and I just needed to put them in this video. Yeah. I'll be back with something a bit more positive next time, hopefully. But I just had to say something because, you know, like I said at the start of the video, everyone has to say something. This isn't something that you can just sit back and watch from the sidelines. This is something that you have to talk about, that everyone has to talk about, because it's so important. And yes, this happened in America, but this could have happened in London, it could have happened in Sydney, it could have happened anywhere. Just because it happened in London doesn't mean it can't happen anywhere else. Racism happens on a daily basis, and if you don't talk about it, if you don't actively show that you're against it, if you don't actively speak up against it, then that, I'm sorry, makes you part of the problem. I'm sorry I made this video so... I'm sorry I got so emotional in this video, but I just had to get this all off my chest. I'll be back with something positive in the next few days. Peace.